We begin in Nigeria, where President Muhammadu Buhari has signed the COVID-19 Regulations 2020 Act to declare COVID-19 as a dangerous infectious disease.
Very well said there in a statement by his media office. Buhari was set to have signed the regulations in exercise of the powers conferred on him by Section 2, 3, and 4 of the Quarantine Act, that's Cap Q2, and all powers enabling him on that behalf. Femi Adesina, his spokesperson, said the regulations effective 30th March 2020 also give legal backing to the measures outlined in the Presidential National Broadcast on March 29, 2020, such as restriction and cessation of movement in Lagos, FCT and Ogun State, and others towards containing the spread of the pandemic in the country. The statement also said that in addition to the measures aimed at enabling Nigerians to perform online transactions and use automated teller machines as ATMs during these restrictions, the regulations grant exemptions to financial systems and money markets during the lockdown.
However, as the number of cases continues to rise in Nigeria, reiterating the need for precautionary measures to be taken by Nigerian citizens in transit is very essential, especially those moving within interstate. Well, Hyginus Omeje joins us. He's the Federal Road Safety Corps Sector Commander for Lagos to discuss the coronavirus transit precautionary measures as well as the lockdown. Thank you so much for joining us, Sector Commander, this morning. Well, if you can hear me, Sector. Yes. Okay, great. Let me start by asking you, what role exactly is the Federal Road Safety Corps playing in this enforcement of lockdown in Lagos State, which is under your watch? And what is the level of compliance? Because we do know that in Lagos State, that lockdown should have started 11 p.m. yesterday.
Well, okay, the Federal Road Safety Corps, as you know, the lead agency in road safety management and safety administration in Nigeria. So when it comes to issue of freight movement in this country, we also know that over 90% of all freight and cargo movements is through the road mode. The road mode accounts for the majority of all our business transactions. So when it now comes to issue of lockdown like this, you see the FRSC, they have to really be up and living up to their responsibility and ensuring that the people stay off the road, because that's what that directive simply means. Just stay off the road, sit in your house, in line with the presidential directive. So we are there working in collaboration with other sister agencies, the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, the Navy, all the services, synergizing together to ensure that that presidential directive is obeyed to the letter. And I can tell you that there is compliance, of course, with a few exceptions in line with the Mr. President's directive, where some categories of transporters have been exempted, like those transporting PMS and AGO, they are exempted. So all those tankers and trailers, if you see tankers on the road, rather, you will know that it is because they needed to lift fuel to other places. We also have exemptions for people on essential services, the medical doctors and all medical personnel alike. And of course, the press were also exempted that they should be on the road with their ID card. And for issues of foodstuff, we also know that people who are conveying essential foodstuff, we also need to exercise discretion there. So, but aside from that, the road is very, very free. There is compliance. As I was coming here, I could hardly count vehicles on those essential services at the tips of my finger.
The road is very, very free, but not around area and axis. I had somebody coming from that area this morning. I was complaining bitterly about the trucks. The trucks were on the road were inundated by the truck. They had to pass through, earth paths, not the main roads to get here. The trucks were moving in slowly. In fact, at some point, there was a talk about the trucks not even being allowed to get into Lagos. What can you see about that?
Because this total lockdown is more of Lagos and Ogun, we had some of these trucks who have been on transit even before that yesterday that this thing was given, the ultimatum was given, we have some of these trucks that have been on the road, maybe all the way from far north and getting towards Lagos at this point in time. So a whole lot of them are coming in all at the same time. And because we needed to block the road, we did block. So it is just now that we are now gradually sieving out those trucks to give them priority of way. Now, we also had issues with people who are saying, well, Lagos said they are locking down completely. Ogun said they are locking on Friday. For me, I don't understand that, because the moment Mr. President has spoken, as a federal service agency, that is where you just focus your attention on. So as long as you don't come into Lagos, I don't have problem with that. But again, the express road that those people are there causing those gridlock, people who want to move on their own because they feel that that area is Ogun State, I have this to tell them that road is actually a federal corridor. It's a federal corridor, and it's not a state corridor. So if the federal, Mr. President have given directive, you expect that it has to be carried out.
Spoken about the synergy between agencies that are ensuring this lockdown. And I want to talk to you about your information management and coordination. On my way to work this morning, I was stopped by a police official, and in trying to ask for my ID, he was very close to me, and I had to remind him of the fact that the reason why this lockdown was put in place in the first place was because of COVID-19, and he still had to maintain his social distance. Do your officials understand that they have to continue to maintain their social distance even if they are ensuring the lockdown, so to speak?
Definitely. Hitherto, we had carried out sensitization, because when you are even saying enforcement, the issue is you should even protect yourself more than you protect others. I think the first law of preservation is self-preservation. So you also need to ensure that you protect yourself. So our personnel are also aware of that, and that's why you see all of them on their hand gloves, because we are aware that even having contact with the handle of the door or the door itself, or even the vehicle paper, in case somebody contravenes and you want to look at what, or even somebody is giving you his ID card and you want to really look at it, that this will be a medium through which the virus can be transmitted. So they are masks and they are on this thing. So they also need to maintain distance. So if anybody was actually coming too close to you, well, I don't know how that goes. But for us, we did sensitize our personnel, and I know that other services did so. And I think you were okay by reminding him. Maybe he has forgotten. And don't forget, this thing is something that we are all just coming to abreast with. We are not isolating ourselves like this. It was not part of our culture. But we are now beginning to learn a different culture now, that I have to greet you and I am doing like this and I'm just waving at you, you know, all those things. So,
continuous awareness. For Sector Commander, let me ask you, beyond enforcement of this lockdown, beyond policing, so to say, those vehicles on the road at this time, is the FRSC going beyond the call of duty? For instance, raising awareness, helping to disseminate information. I did see a video on a platform of an FRSC personnel who was translating awareness campaign messages in local dialects for the people. So is this a general phenomenon with the FRSC at this time, or was there a one-off by that particular individual? Are you going beyond call of duty at this point?
No. It's not going beyond the call of duty. Now, let's go back to the fundamentals, and let's look at what the FRSC Establishment Act 2007 says about the core mandate of the Federal Road Safety Corps, educating the motoring public on the proper use of the road. So when you talk of educating the motoring public on the proper use of the road, and we now have a situation in our hand where the people that use the road are endangered species by way of the mode of transmission of this virus, people sitting in the vehicle, and we know what our sitting pattern in the vehicle used to be. We know what our attitudes and our behaviors in motor parks looks like. So it's just normal that in line with the the directive of the federal government, and that we should all raise this awareness, we also incorporate this into our public enlightenment strategy, such that people traveling can also travel safely without endangering their health and that of their families by contacting this virus through another person. So it was really in line with our strategic initiative to be part of the campaign. Remember that the issue here is that all hands must be on deck. And the federal government, the task force on COVID-19 are not expected to work in isolation. They are expected to also cascade these things to other agencies that will help in terms of raising the awareness. Because I think what Nigeria needs now is awareness. We don't run from the rain until it drenches us. And that's why some people kept on feeling as if nothing is happening. After all, we have been existing. Nothing is not for Nigeria, it's not this. So we needed to really make them. And if translating it in local dialect, and I think that's just very good of that officer too, and I'm sure that is what it is in other places. What is the essence of communicating to a group of people, and you are speaking big English when you know that you catch their audience, you get past the message more, and they will understand you more when you go vernacular. I think is commendable.
Mr. Hyginus, in fact, someone was making a quick joke. They said, this is the time we need your name a lot to safeguard ourselves and have some form of hygiene. Let's move to this quickly. I was coming this morning and I saw some trends that were very startling. I saw police officers driving at neck break speed because the roads are free. Secondly, I saw some streets cordoned off, with plastic barricades. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure, to my memory, any isolation center around the start of the Bodilon Street in Ikoyi. So what would you like to say about those things? Police officers driving at neck break speed around town because the roads are free. And the fact that some streets are cordoned off, is that part of the directive of the federal government that some special streets should be cordoned off?
What is the lockdown all about? Stay at home. I think that's the campaign we have been carrying. So stay at home. Coming to the streets to play football is not staying at home. Because in the course of playing football, you could have contact. Coming to streets to gist and share newspaper is not staying at home. I think the only thing we should learn from, if we don't learn from history, we will become history. Let's look at what has happened in other countries. Spain and Italy and all of that. They started like this when their figures were also in 2 digits. From 2 digits to 3 digits, from 3 digits to 4 digits. That was because they did not adhere to the specific regulations on signing this. Honestly, there is no way you will be on your own and you will get this virus. So what we are saying is, can we just break the chain of the transmission? Stay in your house, watch your TV, play with your family. In fact, in Lagos, I think if there is any state that will even celebrate this, it is Lagos. In most homes in Lagos, they wake up by 4 a.m., 5 they are out. The children have not even woken up. In some homes, parents are aliens to their children because they hardly meet them. So let us stay at home. Let the family bonding come back again alive, even with this. Everything that has disadvantage also have its own advantages. So I think the stay at home, we should also capitalize in it. Rekindle family union and bonding in the home. Stay at home. We didn't say come. So if there's any streets that the residents associations...
I'd like to come in here real quickly. We'll have to go on a short break, but when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation about the lockdown in Lagos. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still joined by FRSC Sector Commander for Lagos State, Hyginus Omeje, here in our Lagos studios, discussing the transit precautionary measures and lockdown. Now, in Abuja yesterday, the Red Cross came out to say that they have indeed mobilized a team to deliver emergency first aid in case there's any need for it during this lockdown. Now, I'm curious to know if any arrangements has been made with the Red Cross in Lagos or any other organizations that can deal with emergency first aid if need be.
Well, that's even before now, those arrangements have been put in place. Don't forget that Lagos have its own structure too. And being one of the most prevalent states for now, all those arrangements have been made. And as far as we are concerned, any Red Cross official or vehicle that is on transit, we are not going to hinder them because we know that they are taking supplies to where they are needed. So, like I said, we are not working in isolation. We are working in synergy with other services and agencies. NEMA, there's also a committee set up by NEMA, of which FRSC is, and all other services and are also there, including Red Cross. So we are all working as a team. So all those arrangements are in place for medical supplies and reliefs where they are supposed to be. You are also aware that Lagos State government also identified some schools and even places where food items will actually be gotten, because we said agricultural this thing. But we didn't want a situation whereby you go and open my 12 market because that is where they sell food. No, you will really be there is no social distance in that place. But when what the state put in structure, you come in, you can just walk straight to where you want to pick those things and pick it and just walk out again. I think all those things have arrangements for all those things have been made perfectly before now.
Two quick questions. A lot of people are quite confused about this lockdown order. I've got a lot of questions from people asking me, does this apply to vehicular movement? For instance, you did mention that the Lagos State had, decentralized markets in local government. How do I get to those markets? Can I drive there, or does this lockdown affect me? If I'm going to the supermarket, can I drive there, or do I work? So is this a matter of vehicular movement, or just completely stay in your home? Secondly, I want to ask you about the operations of the FRSC at this time. What happens to those who are billed for collection of their driver's licensing or capturing at this time, especially the bypass option that we have going on in the FRSC?
Well, I think we must, this is a stage when you need to prioritize. When it comes to issue of matter of health, life and death, and driver's license, which one takes precedence? I think life and death is the man that is alive, is the man that is healthy, that will drive with a driver's license. So we just look at priorities here. We have shut down all our driver's license centers for now, so that people don't come there and crowd. Anything that will lead to people gathering together is out of it here. So we have shut down the driver's license. Yes, the bypass option. You can do bypass option, but you can only collect it when all these things is over. We need to look at priorities. We need to prioritize very well here. And we need to set priorities in anything we are doing. Then as for the issue of the market, some of these markets are actually located around us. These things are actually within our community. There was a good demographic study done before they started creating all those things. They didn't just go and put them where you need to go and trek to, you drive kilometers to. These are areas that are within our reach that you can walk to and go and pick those things and come back. But what we are saying is keep off critical roads, critical highways. We didn't come to say you cannot come out of your streets. These schools are located within streets, and you can walk in there and go and pick those things. But for people to enter their vehicle and be transporting people up and down, we do not appreciate that, and because it will not help in breaking the chain. And let me also use this opportunity to answer the earlier question before we went on break. And you were asking about police officers moving at neck-breaking speed. I wouldn't know why anybody would do that. But then the law still says we should not go above 100 kilometers per hour on our express ways, no matter what the issue is. The police officer also loves his life, and he also loves his family. Somebody should be breaking speed, quote and unquote, because I say quote and unquote because you didn't have a radar gun to really know the actual speed the man was going on. From your face validity, you may say it may be too much, but even if that be, I think we all owe it a duty to, safeguard our life and also live within the context of the law.
But my face validity was right about that. It was a lot of speed on a highway, which I felt was wrong when the road was all free. You talked about these areas being in close proximity. I totally disagree, Mr. Hyginus Omeje. Why is this? Take, for instance, people that live around the Oniru axis. The next center I saw on the list was Ikota Primary School. There is no how I can trek from Oniru to Ikota Primary School.
Well, I think before now we were also told to stock our houses. So we were even supposed to have stocked our houses. But even if you won't have to make that kind of movement by road, well, and it is not a far distance distance from where you are staying, well, I think discretion can always be the watchword in any situation we find ourselves. I know there can always be flexibility in anything we are doing. For example, if somebody falls sick at home, are we going to say that vehicle will not convey him to hospital? No. Somebody will drive and take him to hospital. But at that point in time, discretion has to come in.
Two questions very quickly. What the penalties are for offenders, people who have not been cleared, or, like press, people in petroleum, telecoms, that are not allowed to be on the road. What are the penalties for these offenders? And also, secondly, we do know that there would be criminals at this time, and even though it's the job of the police to ensure the safety of life and property, at this time we do know that criminals might want to take advantage of this lockdown to try and break into stores or break into offices. Now, is there anything being done by the FRSC in collaboration with the police to make sure that we don't see these things? And like I said, my first question, what are the penalties for offenders?
Well, this is not a case of penalty that will cost you this. No. I think the penalty is just to terminate the journey. Just terminate the journey. That's just it. For example, if I am at a beggar now and I see you want to come into Lagos, the penalty will be, please go back to where you are coming from and go and stay at your home. It's not a case of I want to impound your vehicle and issue you tickets or not. The penalty is terminate the journey. The essence is that let us break the chain of the spread of this virus. And whatever I need to do to achieve it, I will do it. Just go and stay at home. This is as simple as ABCD. I'm not going to say I'm charging you to court or I'm giving you a fine of 10,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. No. All I want to do is terminate the journey. Go back to where you are coming from. Then on the issue of the security, yes, I'm aware that the Commissioner of Police had also said something even in regards that. And that's why you can see that if you look around you, there's visible policing everywhere. You see RRS vehicles positioned at strategic locations. And I think the watchword should also be that people should watch and pray. That is, you should open your eye also and watch your environment very well. There was also a police alert on people who may want to use this opportunity to send all forms of messages and defraud people, even online. So we should be alert and be our brother's keeper. I don't think if all these shops are locked, whether we are going to see cases where people will just go and start breaking shops without anybody seeing it. And when you see such, of course, you raise alarm and call the emergency helpline.
You've talked about the situation between interstate, Lagos and Ogun, as a result of that confusion, or let me say, postponement that the Ogun State government has now received from the presidency to start their own lockdown Friday. But I think that the governor was very clear that the borders will remain closed. It's only the lockdown within the state. However, I want to ask for your clarification for those who live on those border town and border community between Lagos and Ogun State who are essential services. Will they be exempted? Are you clearing them to have this journey? And secondly, what would be your message to Nigerians using this opportunity and this platform, especially Lagosians?
For those living within those border areas, for example, people staying at Arekpo, Mowe, Bafo, all those areas, and you work in Lagos and you are on essential service, of course, your ID card is your gate pass. As you identify yourself, well, we will allow you to go. It's not, like I said, there's always discretion in any enforcement you are carrying out. We know those people that by the federal government directive, by Mr. President's speech, that there is exemptions, and we're going to adhere to that. So those people, they don't have any anything to worry about. If you're a medical doctor and you are staying at Arepo, will I say you will not go to work? No. When you get there and you identify yourself, our operatives will open the road for you, working in conjunction with other services, and you will be allowed. And for my message to Lagosians, I want us to collaborate with the federal government and the state government in ensuring that we break this chain of the spread of this virus. People must first and foremost understand why the government is saying stay at home. Stay at home because the virus does not fly like a fly or butterfly that will come and perch on you just like that if you don't have contact. So stay at home so that we can break the chain of the spread. Let us just cooperate. And if you are having issues or you have anybody, it's also not too good if you know anybody that traveled that have hidden himself and come and without, subjecting himself to test for you to keep quiet. If we see something, we should say something. We should also cooperate with the government in providing information. Government, they are not witches, they are wizards. We work with information. So if we have any useful information that will help in curbing the spread of this virus, please let the authorities know. But let us adhere to this. They said just initially for 2 weeks. We will all survive it. We are not going to die within these 2 weeks. And so please let us cooperate and stay at home.
And Mr. Hyginus Omeje, I'd like you two to stay safe. I know you guys are doing a lot of good work out there to protect us and to safeguard us this season. But please, I beg you to stay safe. And, the members of the Federal Road Safety Corps, please stay safe. It's only important. Thank you so much. Thank you.